Hey folks, this is Tron Games and welcome to Total War Warhammer 3. Today we are going to do a getting started guide for Valkia the Bloody, one of the Warriors of Chaos factions, Legion of the Gore Queen. So Valkia has a very interesting start position. She's like way up in the north, kind of west corner of the map. So she's really quite isolated up here. You've got to be really careful with her to start with because she doesn't have a city. So if you lose the first battle, you're basically done. Um, and we'll go this. Her first army's quite good. These Skull Crushers are really quite valuable early on. You've got some decent units to start with. In terms of faction effects for Valkia, you've got souls. So all the Warriors of Chaos factions have the souls function. And basically, you can unlock different gifts of chaos using those souls, which we can't do quite yet, but we'll hopefully be able to do in a moment here. So as we go, we'll go through this first. So Valky's army has access to bloodletting, and bloodletting it basically means the more battles you fight, the more buffs your army gets. So you want to fight with her a lot in the early game to raise that bloodletting up, because basically once she gets that built up, it works similarly to the Khorne faction, where you want to keep fighting just as much as you possibly can, because that's how you keep rolling with that faction. So you get increased movement range after you win a battle. You get more souls from sacrificing your captives, and if you conquer a faction, you can actually vassalize them, and then your vassals get frenzy, and they actually spread Khorne corruption for you. So we're gonna start going here, and again, decisive victory to start with is pretty good. So then we can either replenish, we can get a whole bunch of souls from doing this. Because I want to make sure that we are able to take that settlement, because I'm going to auto-resolve that, I'm going to take the replenishment. If you fight those battles, that battle manually, you're going to do quite a bit better. Now, one of the things that you want to be really aware of with the Warriors of Chaos faction and Valky's faction specifically is that you have these Dark Fortress sites. So not all of the regions that you get have this little Dark Fortress site. You don't really want to channel resources into places that don't have this, because this is, what enables you to build your big cities. So we're gonna come here right away, take Dagrax and can auto-resolve that. You'll do better if you fight these manually off the beginning. Now, here you have the option. You can sack this, raise it, occupy, and vassalize. We're going to occupy this one and vassalize it to start with. So we now have a region, which is good. That's what we want to start with. In terms of Valkia's skills as an individual lord, it's not that interesting. She gets a ability called Gaze of Khorne, which just gives you a little bit of extra weapon damage and armor piercing damage, additional leadership for people who are around her. So if you fight battles manual, be aware of that. And she has increased Khorne authority, decreased Slaanesh authority, and if an enemy retreats, then you get a whole bunch of additional movement range. So it's good to be aware of that. But the nice part is, like, turn 1, we're already built up to having level 4. I tend to go for this really early on because we've got quite a bit of fighting to do. And we're going to take a couple of those
Greater killing
to start
ability.
with. You can kind of pick whatever points you are comfortable with, but a few of these do actually start with some points in here, so you actually get a point there, and Valkia actually starts with 2 other points up here. That's how you get your Khorne authority there. So now we've taken this settlement. Let's look a little bit at how Warriors of Chaos factions actually recruit. So you can recruit war bands. These are instant recruits, so I don't want to recruit them yet. There's nobody kind of around me, so we'll just leave them there. You actually get gifted units. So this is a unit that you can grab, and you see that now that we've unlocked this settlement, we can actually access the Gifts of Chaos.
There will always
So we'll go through
be
that in a
blood.
second. There are some Regiments of Renown, like every faction has got, and then you have the ability to upgrade your units using the Warband upgrades. So if we
Mistress
go
of
here to the
Skulls.
Gifts of Chaos, you get 2 to start with, so you give 1 in the middle and 1 on the edge. So this is a Gift of Corn. So here you either want to add, so I tend to add this one off the bat. And this one's not bad either because it gives you additional just income, and you're going to do a lot of fighting at the beginning, so it can be a good way to get some extra money. I tend to just take this one early on, and then one of the things that you can do is you can come here right away again, and you're going to be able to add either additional um, Gift of Chaos. These are the undivided ones, and so you can take additional missile resistance. Um, this one's pretty good early on, especially if you fight battles manually. That's not bad to do. This one can give you additional replenishment for your Chaos Marauder units, and so we have Chaos Warriors of Khorne, but those Chaos Marauders are here as well. So you can pick whatever you like. It doesn't really matter in the early game. Eventually you want to get away from these, but as you basically earn, spend this upkeep, you build up to be able to unlock additional gifts for both Khorne and for the Undivided. So just because early on I want to make sure I'm building up enough units, I'm gonna do those 2. If we go to the tech tree, it's pretty uninteresting to start with. I usually take this one just to unlock both of these. This is something you can either take this because it costs you less souls to devote to Khorne, or I tend to actually go this direction just for a little bit more of income off the bat, and Blood for the Blood God is just a
The
great
Skull Throne will benefit.
great one to go after. In terms of your initial buildings here, you can build these. I tend to pretty much always just go build this one and this one. Get those rolling right off the bat. And then the nice part is that this settlement here, even though we don't own these, Mung is actually our vassal. So something to be aware of off the bat, because they own this one and then this one, they own those 2. When we take this one, we've actually got the ability to set a commandment here. So we can decide which one we're going to do. Early on, I tend to take, so like you can see, exploit vassals, you get construction cost, and warband recruitment. I tend to do this one because our Khorne corruption in this settlement is really low right now, and we want to pump that up kind of as quickly as we can. So for now, we'll advance the turn, and then we'll talk a little bit about other factions that are nearby. Valkia's faction is actually like pretty strong early on, um, because you can raise so many units so quickly through the kind of warband recruitment as well as the gifts. You can work your way up to a full stack pretty quickly. And Grand, the faction that you started at war with, is just super weak. So they're very much a target that you want to bully a little bit in the early game, because you can level Valkia up to, I've seen her get as high as like level 8, level 10 by the time you hit like turn 3. So we want to come down this direction. You can come all the way over here. You can come right to the edge if you want, and then take a look, but there isn't usually anything there. Now, this is the bloodletting thing that we talked about. So as you get additional battle victories, you build up higher and higher, and when you get to the top, it unlocks replenishment in foreign territory. So that's really quite useful for us. We're going to come all the way over here as far as we can, because Grand has these 3 settlements, but if you look at how strong they are extremely weak. So they are just a very, very good target for us to go after. We're going to be able to beat them up pretty bad off the bat. terms of other factions, you really only know a few right off the bat. You know Mung, which is one of your vassals, and you have like the ability to do certain things. You can actually build like an outpost in their settlement. I don't typically do anything with them because the units that you have are sufficient off the bat. And then you have this greenskin faction, which is around the same strength as you, but I mean they're just a little bit over here. They're going to get attacked by Harganeth. So major factions to be aware of in this area. The number one faction to be aware of is Nagarond. Malekith is right here. He is very irritating. In the early game, I tend to try to go here almost immediately. I roll through Grond, beat the crap out of them, and then I go after Malekith as soon as I can. Um, Nagaron can get really well established, and Nagaron as a city is sometimes really difficult to take, but in the early game it's a little bit weak, so it takes a little bit of time to build up. So you can get there quickly and and you know kind of cut the head off the snake, so to speak. So you could get there right away, and then that's a good spot to go. Just a little bit to the west of where you are is Crone Hellebron and Harganeth, so be aware of them as well. Just another Dark Elf faction. You're going to fight a lot of Dark Elves at the start of this campaign. Over to the west over here, there's some Skaven factions, but there is actually a Dwarf faction over in this area, and that Dwarf faction can give you probably a little bit of a headache because their infantry are just better than yours, depending on when you deal with them. I tend to try to knock them out early as well. So if we look at our objectives, Valkia has some fairly interesting victory conditions. So you want Spiteful Peaks, which is right here. It's this region. You want the Iron Foothills, which is basically the Nagaron region. So you want basically this territory right here, and you can vassalize those, or you can actually take them. And then you want to basically, once you've done those, I tend to try to deal with the dwarves, and then I work my way this way, because we want to take the Palace of Ruin, which is up here, and the Frozen City, which is just over this direction. And that's kind of your short campaign victory right there. You just have to take a bunch of settlements and work your way that way. Long term, you actually have to just keep raising and taking settlements, and you're just going to collect a whole bunch of these areas. If you take the north area and then start to work your way down this way, can be pretty easy to meet this requirement. So yeah, that's kind of the overview of Valkia's faction, but we'll do one more turn here because I'll have one more thing that I want to talk about. In terms of the early game for her, getting that bloodletting stack up is one of the most important things, and that means just constantly fighting as many battles as you can. It also allows you to spread corn corruption into provinces that you want to hold as well. Um, keeping her very busy in the early game is just a really good strategy. Now, I think I could have actually built buildings in this region. No, not yet. But we're going to come here right away. We want to come after Asherak. And you can see we're depleting our souls pretty quickly. So I'm going to auto-resolve this. We're losing 100 every turn. We can raise this settlement. That's an option. I tend not to. I just sack it. And like it's fine to run yourself pretty much out of souls. It just means you lose your gifts of chaos, but those aren't really that important. And yeah, you're just going to continually come back and continually beat on this settlement just a little bit. You can either go back into your your own region there and continue to build up your forces. So you can take some of the gifted units. You can recruit some of your war bands instantly, but you're going to keep leveling her up, and you're going to keep beating on this settlement, and when they start to come towards you, I tend to burn it down and retreat temporarily so that they colonize it, which depletes their army, and then you can come back and take it away from them. There's one actual final thing that I haven't mentioned yet, which is the Path of Glory. You can actually have a hero be devoted to a specific god, which resets their level, but it allows them to unlock different items, and it resets their skill tree, so you can then work your way through that again. So that's about all I've got for kind of the
Such
getting started
meager
guide for
resistance.
Valkia. If you like the content, feel free to leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this in the future. Thanks for watching.
Is that the best they